Hey y'all, and welcome to my second episode of my new Spin With Me series. Actually, spin my rhinebeck sweater series. I had to kind of extend the title because some things have changed since I last spoke to y'all, and I really need to tell you about it. I'm having some London fog because I can't have any more coffee now because I have my knit group later today, and I know I'm gonna have some coffee, and I'm not sure. I think Earl Grey has caffeine as well, so I hope I'm not bouncing off the walls in about half an hour. I feel a bit jittery, which might just be from my excitement of what I'm going to tell you. But first, let me have a sip of my drink. Yeah, so I've been really enjoying London Fog with some maple syrup. I also love putting maple syrup in my iced coffee. I think I've tried it for the first time while in the US. But yeah, I don't know where I'm getting at. Let's get into this video. Yeah, since last time, actually some things about my sweater spin. Not about the spin per se, but about the everything around this sweater have changed. So let me start back where it all started. I did a fiber collaboration with Yarn Jam. This is only coming out September 6th, so you haven't missed anything. If you're just hearing about this for the first time, Trisha approached me, asked me if I wanted to be part of her podcaster collection, which I gladly said yes to. And she came up with this colorway for me. We kind of came up with it together. She made some suggestions, and I was able to, give her some feedback about it, and this is the end result, and I completely love it. As many of you pointed out, it is very reminiscent of my recently finished stripe hype sweater number 2, which I think is so funny that, and kind of cosmic. I don't know, like, if I believe in all of that, but I think the universe kind of sprung this color combination at me, and now it's my favorite thing in the whole world, and I'm kind of I don't know, it's going to be brought into life with that framed sweater by Andrea Mowry. So I've actually finished 2 skeins or 2 hangs of my handspun, and I really want to talk to you about it today. I have pre-drafted my fourth half of a braid. I have 3 left over. This is what it actually looks like whenever I pre-draft it. So there's lots more air in it. This is a lot more bouncy and big. Whereas if I just like have halved the braid, it's a lot more dense. But this helps me actually spin the yarn, spin the fiber to become singles, to be plied, to become a 3-ply, which is what I'm doing with this sweater. But I feel like I'm a bit all over the place today because I feel like I want to tell you all of the things, and I'm a bit excited, so please bear with me. So the rhinebeck sweater knit along, the framed rhinebeck cow, has started, and I did show this on the latest episode. I have started by casting on the tubular cast on and then do the ribbing of it. This is the curry worsted by La Bien-Amie in Amège, and I really liked it. There was one mistake that I did though, which is that the curry worsted isn't actually a worsted but a DK, which I don't know why, but I really didn't think about it too much. It's worsted spun, not worsted weight. And so at the end of the day, with my handspun not getting to a worsted either, but staying more at like a sport to DK weight, I decided to just try and go with a DK framed sweater. So that to say, I think I've changed all of the yarn that I have to a DK weight, and we'll see if I can still reach Andrea's gauge, or if I'll have to do some math and see how I can kind of play around with that and still achieve a garment that I love the look of. She has stated in one of her podcasts that it shouldn't be a problem to knit with a lighter yarn if you're not afraid of doing the math. So since I'm telling myself that I'm not afraid of masks, though I've never really been a person to love masks. I can totally see myself being able to do it. I have been doing quite a bit of math actually. I always write down what my skeins are weighing and what they should come out, like the meterage come out as pre-washing and then after washing now too. I have not done the after washing estimations with any of my other spinning projects yet, because it has never been a really that necessary, but for this project I wanted to do that. But let me backtrack a tiny bit. This is actually super special because since I talked to you last, I was just making my first rhinebeck sweater with my first handspun sweater quantity. Like, I was just making my first handspun sweater, and that just by accident turned out to be a rhinebeck sweater. Now, 2 weeks later, I'm going to rhinebeck. And I'm extremely excited about it. So I'm not just making my first handspun sweater, but I'm also spinning my first rhinebeck sweater to go to rhinebeck with. Yeah. I still need to let that sink in because I still can't really believe it, but this is a life dream of mine coming true. I haven't had it for more than 4 years because I haven't been knitting for more than, I would say, coming up to 4.5, 5 years, not sure, but it's not a long standing life dream. But the last like 3.5 years, I've been adamant that I will have to go to rhinebeck at least once in my life. And it turns out I have the best knitting friends. I'm the luckiest being in the entire universe, I feel like sometimes. Yeah, I'm just very grateful to my friend Mia from Knit and Grace. She also has a podcast. I've mentioned her several times. We've been chatting like in between our podcasts and Instagram DMs and YouTube like comment section for, I would say, the last maybe 1.5 years. Not sure when I first started watching her videos, but we have been getting we have been in contact for some time now and have been chatting. And yeah, she did mention that if I had any chance of coming over to the US that time, that she'd gladly host me. And I am crazy, as you all know, and I'll take that invitation if I get it. And if a knitting friend offers to host me for a Yarny festival, who am I to say no to that? So yeah, I did not think that I was going to any more festivals this year, which I have been so lucky already this year, going to such amazing Yarny events. But I've actually booked another event in November, which is Munich Knits, that is going to be in Germany. I've just booked my hotel room. I still need to book my train tickets, but I'll be there and I'll be meeting up with my friends Rebecca and Emily from Zurich, who I had spent time with at Swiss Yarn Festival at the beginning of this year. So a few more Yarny adventures this year coming up. I thought that the rest of the year was just going to go very smoothly. It was going to be very homey and cozy. Like, apart from work, I was just focusing on kind of nesting in our flat. We got a new couch. I was just looking forward to spinning and knitting and cuddling and maybe gardening and baking and just being very peaceful at home. And now I'm going off to jet set to another woolly festival. So I hope you're also excited for me, and that you'll maybe look forward to seeing some more of my Rhinebeck kind of countdown to Rhinebeck footage or content that I am thinking about creating. I think that this is going to be the main piece of content. Obviously, I'm knitting the Rhinebeck sweater. I'm actually spinning to knitting the Rhinebeck sweater. But yeah, I could see myself also vlogging a bit there. And I'd love if you could let me know if you would like to see that. I have been watching so many Rhinebeck vlogs over the years, and especially now that Mia has invited me and I've actually booked my flights. I found some relatively affordable flights, which was great because otherwise it probably wouldn't have worked out. I have been watching more and more rhinebeck content, and I'm just so excited. Yeah. Where was I going with that? I am not going to, because a lot of my friends are going. I just wanted to state, unfortunately, I'm not going to Barcelona knits, but like I said, you can't be everywhere. And that's okay. I hope that everyone who's going is having a fantastic time. I enjoyed going last time so much. I've also got a vlog about Barcelona knits that I did when I was going, and so yeah, if you'd like to see more about that. I've also got my flock vlogs if you'd like to see that, and if you're going now this year and you still want to get a bit excited, though I think if I'm posting this, flock is already happening. It must be happening around right now, whenever you're watching, since I'm filming on a Sunday. It's Sunday morning, and yeah, flock's going to be in a week, and I have a crying and a laughing eye of looking at this, because I know how amazing it was last year. It's going to be a lot bigger this year, and I know of a handful of people that I would love to see who are just going for the first time, or who've been there last time round. But unfortunately, you can't be everywhere all at once and at the same time. Now I've got the song stuck in my head. I love that song. Getting very distracted. My brain is not braining today. I've been awake since 6 o'clock in the morning because Hannes is off to his early shift. Yes, it's Sunday. We do both work a lot of the time, and on the weekends. I worked yesterday at the shop, and I really need to get some relaxation in today, which is why I'm very looking forward to meeting my friends for a knit night this afternoon. So this is a very chatty episode, as you might be able to tell. But how about we'll get into the actual spinning part of this episode. I'll put in a disclaimer into the title and call it maybe Chatty Spin With Me, because there's not actually a lot of spinning happening, but a lot of chatting. So I hope you don't mind. Like I said, I hope you'll let me know if you're going to Rhinebeck this year. I am beyond excited. I'm so happy and looking forward to meeting Mia in person. Like I said, it's been so fun to getting to know her a bit over the years, just through, like I said, the internet, and now recently we've been video calling. And I also am looking forward to meet Cece from Stitch Witch Craft. And I know that another friend of mine who's been to Flock last year, she will be at Rhinebeck. And also Mega from, is it Skeins of Dreams? Yeah, she's also going to be there from my Fleece Force spinning team. So there's already a handful of people who I will be so happy to meet in person this year at the festival. And yeah, I'd love to know if you're also going. And now I'm getting into my making of my Rhinebeck sweater. So let's get into the spinning part of this episode. So I think I must have a bit more than 500 meters of yarn so far. Whenever I sampled, and I told you about this, my sample turned out to be more like a sport weight. The grist and then also the meterage that I do estimate either with, this is a 1 yard nitty noddy that I got from Coats & Co at the Flock Fiber Festival last year. And I know that this is a 1 yard from Googling it again and seeing it on their website, because I wasn't sure. But now that I know that if I wrap around it, the yarn around it, this is actually one of the skeins that I got from this nitty noddy, I'll have to multiply the times I wrap my yarn around it by, I think it's 0.9, let me actually have a look into my notes, 0.914 meter, so a bit less than a whole meter, which is the equivalent of a yard. But as you may know, I'm doing meterage, not yardage, since yeah, I'm in Germany and we have the metric system, and I'm just more used to that. And so I'm doing 0.904 4 times, and I had 204 kind of strands wrapped around it. So you can think of it as like this was around this way, or whichever way you technically put it around it. If you've ever used a niddy noddy, you know what I mean. And I counted the strands. This is still slightly damp. I have set it, and now it's still drying. It takes quite a long time since it's such a dense skein or hang. I think I'm going to rewind it, and then at the same time thinking I'll count yardage a bit more closely again, just to make sure what I get post washing, because I think I've figured out my percentage that I lose in washing, but I'm not yet 100% sure. And I want to make sure it's similar across skeins or hangs. I know I say skeins a lot, though I mean hang. I hope you'll forgive me for that. But yeah, so that was one way of doing it. But as you may be able to tell, this is a lot bigger. This was actually my first skein, and I created this by wrapping it around my yarn Swift. Actually, my yarn Swift is from Gu. I'm actually very happy with it. It's not as expensive as some of the other ones, and I got it, I'd say maybe like 2 years ago, maybe 3 years even, and I'm very happy with it. It's not you'll have to push down the yarn quite a bit to be able to get a lot on there without it sliding off again, but if you'll get used to it, I think you should be fine. This is actually my first skein, and it was about 90 grams, which actually isn't too bad, I'd say. It's almost 100 grams, and this was my first skein. And I did wrap it around 175 times around the biggest weight that it could go, which is 155 centimeters around my Swift. So that equals 271 meters. I'm leaving out the like 0.25 because like we're gonna round up, okay, or round down, whichever way. So that meant that I got about 271 meters for 90 grams, and then I did the math, and that meant that I was getting around 300 meters per 100 grams, which is pretty bang on a sport weight, which I did not want to get. I wanted to get a worsted weight, though now that I have decided on using a DK for all of my other yarn and my contrast, I was a lot less unhappy with getting a sport. Also, I knew that with washing, this might lose a bit of meterage while maintaining the same weight, obviously. So I did wash and finish this hang, and it turned out that I was left with about 245 meters per 90 grams, which equals 100 grams for 271 meters. So I lost about 29 meters, which is an equivalent to about 10%. I know this is very technical, but I've been feeling like I have learned so much through this online community of spinners that I really like to kind of share forward some of the things that I've learned about grist, for example, and spinning in general, to kind of show you if I can do it, you can do it. So yeah, this was my first skein, and that still is about a sport 2 DK weight, but I thought it doesn't really matter. It is still a bit thick and thin, but I'll get a lot closer with matching my two yarns now that I, like I said, decided to go with DK kind of on both ends. As far as I remember, this has a 230 meter per 100 grams grist, the Corey worsted. And now that I have decided to go with the double Sunday for my background color work color instead of the way too gray Corey worsted that I also bought, this is 110, I think, or 108 meter per 50 grams, so about 216 meters. This is a bit thicker, still, but I think they'll kind of match up quite nicely. This is a super wash, and I actually got in stash the amount that I might need for this sweater, so I'm quite happy about that. I don't have to spend more money on yarn. This is actually the yarn. This is the yarn that I'm using for my sweet shop blanket. And since this is a project that is still like on the go, without looking like a whip, it's very nicely decorated in our living room, so I don't really mind using the yarn for this project now. I can always get more. This is the 2321 colorway. And yeah, I kind of dig into my quantity that I have usually used for this, and then putting it into the sweater. So yeah, I'm kind of borrowing from my own stash that I have acquired to use for my sweet shop blanket, but since this is a lot more pressing right now, I can always get a bit more. And looking at the two of them, I think it's actually going to work out quite well. Let me hope that my focus is working. It's not been working great in the last couple of videos, I know, and I'm very sorry for that, but let's try it again. Okay, so if this doesn't work out, I'm going to film some B-roll and just put it over that video. But yeah, so this was my first skein, and I should have around 270 meters on that. I think my goal eventually was to make around a 500 meters, which should work out for this sweater. I'm now actually making more just to be really sure before I start knitting the project that I have more than enough yarn to kind of swap in if there is like a very thin spot in the yarn that I want to not use. I have enough, and if the sweater just needs more yardage than expected, if I want to lengthen it, if I want to lengthen the sleeves, which I could see myself doing, like adding one motif to the sleeves, I just have more options. I want to knit, like I want to spin enough, and I can still use the rest of it to maybe gift to some friends. I think giving away your handspun is such a special gift, and then also for any other project really. So my second skein I wanted to talk to y'all about is measuring in at 68 grams. As you can see, it is just smaller because it's been wound on the nitty knotty, but I'll rewind it for it to be the same length. I don't know why, but I really want to take some pictures of the finished skeins before winding them and knitting with them, though my fingers are literally tingling and my whole body is telling me to cast this on now or like go ahead with it and start the color work. I cannot wait to start the color work, but I'm trying to be cool and I'm trying to first spin all of the yarn before trying. We'll see how that works. If you'll see me in the next episode and I have started the color work, that'll be a sign that I wasn't strong enough to not do that. But yeah, this one, like I said, 68 grams, and pre-washing this would have been around 186 meters, which would equal a pre-washing meterage or grist of 100 grams per 273 meters, which is similar to my after washing grist of this one. So this might be a tiny bit thicker, but with the roundabout 10% that I might lose, I think I should still be on track with having a similar enough meterage and gauge with the two of them, and then with the double Sunday. So yeah, I'm, like I said, currently taking all of my notes on like just a little notepad before putting all of them into my maker's notebook. I have kind of kept track of projects before in this. This is my DRK cowl. spin that I did. This is my travel shawl that I still need to kind of convert all my notes into it. And I have already, this was just my young folk knits skein or spin, and now I've started I've started my planning, and then where is it? Oh yeah, my project notes on this spin. I'm still trying to take notes on Ravelry too, but since I haven't been using the Maker's Notebook for my projects, but rather my planning, because I'm always using my Ravelry for my projects, I thought it might be nice to use it for my spinning. But yeah, I am super chuffed with this 3-ply, with the way it's turning out, though it's not perfect, which isn't a huge deal. This sweater is not going to be perfect, but it's going to be perfect for me. And yeah, like I said, I can't wait to share a bit more about my my countdown, my journey to Rhinebeck. I can't really believe that this is happening, and yeah, like I said, I'm so grateful to Mia, and yeah, I'm so just very excited. And I'm very much looking forward to sharing a bit more about this. I hope to be putting in some vlog footage into this episode as well and showing you a bit more about my spin. I'll also write down all my notes or link to my Ravelry handspun project page if there are any questions that you might have about this project and that you might like to ask me. Feel free to do this in the comments. If you've got any comments in general about this, any mistakes that you're seeing me make, yeah, also feel free to reach out. Like I said, I'm still very much a novice spinner. I have been spinning for about a year now, which I have never thought to be, that was never something that I had in mind, that I had plans for, but I mean, I guess now I am a spinner. Yeah, and this is not the end of the video. Obviously, I'm going to include a bit more footage and maybe check in again at a later date. But yeah, I hope you're as excited for this as I am. This is going to be fantastic. Yeah. I'm gonna go and spin a bit more on this now. And yeah, I'm gonna have a look at how much this will be post wash. All right, speak to you later. Bye. Hi guys, so it's a few days after I last filmed and I had the best intentions of waiting till I had all the yarn spun up before starting to actually knit further on my framed. But yeah, I caved. I told you that I thought that I might even have enough of the contrast handspun color, the Marlene Knits podcast collection, handspun 3-ply that I did. You've seen the video. I always need to remind myself that I don't need to intro the whole thing again. But yeah, I should have around 500 meters and the pattern states that I would need about 460. So I thought I might as well get started because I just had a tingling feeling in my hand of really wanting to get started. I also just recently bought a new project bag from a company called Mowry. I first was introduced to them, as far as I remember, through my friend Emily from Gently Chaotic Knits. I've seen one of their project bags on her, I think it was just a regular podcast episode, but I think she kind of told whatever she experienced at last year's Rhinebeck. And she said that she really liked this kind of bag. Now, it's empty, but I'm going to put my project into it once I'm leaving the flat to meet up with a friend later on for a little sewing date and dinner. But yeah, Emily talked about Mowry, and then since then I followed them on Instagram, and I've seen lots of project bags they had. But I think they created the perfect one for me. Since I do really love the checkered, like the gingham knee. You can't really say that. Gingham style. And then the wax color is like a dusty honey, which I love. It's almost like a golden brown color. Anyways, I really love that. And then the fern loving human that I am, this ultimately sold me to it. I knew that they had these fern style bags because, again, Emily had one of their bags and showed the bag on one of her podcasts. So I knew that they had these amazing ones. And funnily, I was like, well, I'm never going to get to Rhinebeck this year, just a few weeks ago. So I might as well treat myself to this. I had sold a knitwear piece that I was not wearing, relatively spontaneous, to a person that couldn't themselves knit, and yeah, they really suited the sweater very nicely. It was a Joan sweater that I had tested for Gregoria Fibers, I think 2 years ago at this point, 2.5 years. And yeah, they really suited it. And so I had some money to spend, some play money, as I like to call it, since yeah, I wasn't really budgeting with that money, so it was just there. And yeah, so I got this for myself, and funnily enough, now I'm actually going to Rhinebeck, so I could have gotten it without having to pay for shipping and customs, which were actually quite expensive. I think just the customs was about 20 euros. I get a lot of questions about shipping and customs when ordering from the US or other countries, since I am in Germany and in the EU. People are a bit afraid of ordering from overseas just because of the amount of money that can cost. And obviously I don't want to make it sound like it can be a lot, but you don't always really know how much customs will be in the end. And just DHL, like the German national posting service, they already keep 6 euros for each package that they hold for you until you pick it up and pay at the post station. So you actually pay the customs at a post station. You don't have to get in contact with customs or anything. That's a little kind of discourse or like rant into that kind of topic, but I'm always happy to help via like messages, especially if you're thinking about using my affiliate links to shop from Sorella or Coast to Coast, for example. She's having a new collection coming up, which is quilt inspired, and I'm so excited for it. You guys, these colorways are amazing. I've seen them. And I can't wait to share a bit more about that in another video. But for now, I wanted to share this acquisition, like random acquisition in this video, just because I'm going to put my yarn into it, and I'm going to take my colorwork sweater with me to my friend's house, and I've started it. So I have started the colorwork, and I wanted to show you. I have steam blocked it a tiny bit just because I thought it was rolling in a bit, and I thought that might be a great call actually. And so let me show you. So I have checked and measured all of this again, and when I was just measuring the bottom ribbing, it was measuring the exact 126 centimeters that I'm wanting to get from this, being a size, I think it's size 4 that I'm going for. When I'm measuring the color work now, it's more like 120, so this might just be fixed by washing it. It doesn't seem to bunch up a ton, so it's not a lot wider here than it is in the ribbing, so I'm not really worried or anything. I think I'm quite on track. I have also tried to count my stitches to see how I'm going, like how I'm doing with gauge, and I have about 22 stitches now. Mind that I have not washed this or anything, but 22 stitches is only 1 stitch off from the gauge that Andrea calls for, and then row wise I've only done about 6 rows, but I'm measuring about 2.5 centimeters, which then added up should be 24 stitches for 10 centimeters, which is bang on stitch gauge from her, what she calls for. So I'm quite positive about that, since that would only mean 1 stitch off, which I have accounted for in my choosing the size, which should give me ideally 26 or like between 25 to 27 centimeters depending on the day. But I would also be fine with more like 20 centimeters, which could turn out to be the case if my gauge is a bit bigger, like by 1 stitch. That would overall mean I've done the math, but you know what I'm trying to get at is if I'm getting more stitches per centimeters, 10 centimeters, that means that overall the exact same amount of stitches would be less centimeters. I hope I'm explaining myself correctly, but I think if you've ever like tried to do gauge math, you should know what I'm trying to get at. But yeah, I'm super happy about it so far. And I was also wanting to tell you that I'm wearing a just newly finished sewing project. This is the Mette top by, I think it's Kiddo and Me, or Me and Kiddo Design. I'm going to link that pattern that I got on Etsy. And this is a block printed fabric from Blackbird Fiber or Blackbird Fabric Shop. And yeah, so this is me, my very new shiny cast on rhinebeck sweater in my very new and shiny project bag, and in my very new and shiny summer blouse. And now I'm going to head off to my friend for our sewing date, and I'm very excited. Getting back to this for a quick second, I mean, now I have bought it, I have paid for it, customs are paid for it. Like I said, it was a bit of money to spend because yeah, it came about in a very spontaneous way. I wasn't counting on that money in any other way. I think it's not too bad that I got it now, so I can actually take it back to Rhinebeck. It's going to be my travel project bag. That is another thing. I think, if I'm remembering everything correctly, this is something that Emily also mentioned in her videos, that this is quite practical because you can actually strap it to your backpack, or when you're knitting on the airplane, you can actually strap it to the seat or somewhere, so you're not losing your yarn balls, which would be chaotic. And I don't have to rush to the stand, to the mother root stand, and I actually got exactly the one project bag that I wanted. So I'm trying to see it in that light. I paid a bit more for it, but I was just able to sit around cozy at home and not stress about it getting here, which also is quite nice. I do have a little list of things I want to shop or look at Rhinebeck already, and I'm glad to share that or talk about my planning on what to shop for or look out for at Rhinebeck in another video. Please let me know what vendors were your personal favorite if you've ever been to Rhinebeck. I've seen, for example, a quilting kind of patchwork project bag person that I would like to hit up, and then there's a few like farm milled, like very local and kind of organic looking woolly yarns that I would like to check out. So just American grown and just yarn that I've seen people talk about. For example, I've watched Rebecca from the Crayabea, her video about her going to Rhinebeck, and then Madison Montese's Rhinebeck videos I watched. And so there are a few inspirations that I've taken with me already to come up with my wish list or my shopping list or my want to look at list. But yeah, there's always more space on there, so feel free to share with me the favorite thing, your most favorite thing you've ever seen or experienced or shopped at Rhinebeck. And now I think this might be the end of the video. I will check back in with more progress in a few weeks, I guess. I will show you this blouse, but I will also try and get these things, like these informations, in my next regular podcast episode. I hope people might still be watching these. I know that the spinning and sewing videos don't do as well as the regular podcast episodes, which I get, but I mean, I don't get, because I love to watch these kinds of videos, but I know not everyone does, so it's totally understandable. But I'm always afraid of kind of repeating myself so many times, but then I still realize on the third time that I say something that people seem to have not heard it the first or the second time. So I don't expect everyone to watch all the videos and like see all the content every time, so I hope you're not minding me repeating things, so everyone, I don't know, gets to hear them. I'm not sure. I'll show you the blouse now in all of its glory. It's a bit risque in the front, but yeah, I'm just meeting a friend. It's so warm outside, it's the summertime. Yeah, when else should you wear such a lovely summery blouse, I guess. Okay, see you next time. Bye.